I'm Lindsay Smith with RealAgriculture. I'm joined now by Cher Mereweather with Provision Coalition. And now, Cher, what is your company and your organization?
We're a coalition of 16 food and beverage manufacturing industry associations. And so those are our members, but all the work that we do is actually on behalf of the food company. And the coalition has given us a purpose of making food sustainably. And we do that through three strategic priorities. One is our tools and resources and our on-site support for the companies. The second is addressing the mega challenges across the food system. One is food loss and waste, responsible sourcing, and climate change mitigation. And the third is knowledge transfer and sharing essentially what we learn as we go.
All right, so now we are at the third annual Public Trust Summit with the Canadian Centre for Food Integrity, and you spoke on some of the sort of pretty fantastic results in addressing food loss and waste for some of these food companies. So share a little bit about what that program is and some of what you found already.
So the program has investment from the Walmart Foundation, and what we're able to do is work with 50 food and beverage manufacturers across the country. We've secured about half of the spots, so if you're interested, come and talk to me. And what we're doing is we're doing a $10,000 prevention assessment. So we have, in partnership with EnviroStewards, they go in, they assess the facility and look for 3 opportunities, and they will do a comprehensive assessment, identify those opportunities, put the opportunities into our food loss and waste toolkit, and then we will take the results, put it in our key performance indicator dashboard, and then we'll do an employee engagement survey. That's sort of the crux of the program. Again, it takes about 2 to 3 months, and we have cost share investment from the Walmart Foundation, 50 to 85%.
All right, so take me through perhaps an example of a company that's been through this program, what maybe they identified and what they've changed.
So one example is a bakery. So we went in, we identified a couple of opportunities in the bakery. The bagel was puffing up too much, and you weren't getting that nice circle in the middle that we all like to have. And so we make a recommendation to, in fact, simply change the standard operating procedure. This was a training issue, and could that individual instead of preparing the dough at a particular time, wait a little bit longer, and then it wouldn't rise too much, and all of those bagels wouldn't have those no hole or become baseballs and have to be wasted. So a really simple example of something that didn't actually cost them anything. They just had to change the behavior and the standard operating procedure, and the amount of waste equated to several $100,000. And then the embedded energy, the embedded labor, the embedded water, the greenhouse gases, the calories that were lost from that product never making it to the food chain.
Right, and so and maybe we need to quantify that a little bit in that you shared that in Canada we're looking at about $6 billion worth of food loss per year.
In just the processing and manufacturing.
Right, that's not necessarily calculating at on the farm or at home, those sorts
Yes.
of things. We're just talking processing. Okay, so tell me a little bit about how, or those things that you're measuring. So you expressed some of the savings in calories or meals. So
Yes.
so tell me how you're measuring that.
So the calories, we take the nutritional value of the finished product in terms of calories, and then we can assume that there's 750 calories required per person, and that equates to a meal. And so that is what we've used as our meal conversion. We understand that not all manufactured products is a meal, so my barbecue sauce is not going to give me a meal. It's really about creating that impact statement that says this is the sheer volume of calories that we've lost, and this is the potential in terms of meals.
So now you have had 10 companies who have gone through this program. The numbers are pretty staggering as to CO2 saved, calories saved, the equivalency, those sorts of things. But you did mention that in some ways there's a bit of a pushback on companies saying, you know what, we've got this. We divert, our food waste somewhere. We're okay. So how do we get past that? Because it seems like there's some very clear ways that many processing companies could be reducing food loss and waste.
I think it's about shifting the dialogue and shifting the mindset. It's probably one of the biggest lessons learned as we've been executing this program is that it's that recognition that if I'm actually diverting food to an anaerobic digester, or I'm sending it to composting, or I'm sending it wherever, the fact that I'm having to divert, I need to ask a different question. What can I do to prevent that from happening? And we often get in this conversation about, well, if I'm donating a lot of food, that's a good thing, and maybe I shouldn't be trying to prevent that from happening. In fact, what we encourage is prevent all the waste in your system and be strategic about your donations. So it's about shifting the mindset and looking at the business differently in terms of why are we doing the things that we're doing.
Right, and so it's not necessarily that you're not going to use that charity work or those sorts of things. It's just going to be more targeted and not through the food loss stream.
Absolutely. So that we are specific about what we're donating as opposed to, oops, we made another mistake and now we need to do a big, huge donation, and really trying to get a handle on preventing it from happening in the first place.
All right, and how does this tie in? You did mention the UN, like this is part of sort of a global push for reducing food loss and waste. So how does this fit in for Canada and on the international scale?
So the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, specifically 12.3, is looking to half food waste and loss by 2030. And so from a Canadian context, we've taken it upon ourselves as the coalition to champion that for processors and manufacturers. And so that's why we've built the tools to support the industry, because it is the second largest waster in that big picture in terms of our food loss and waste system. And so that's for us, that's the global target. We're trying to align ourselves to that target, and we're using our tools to track and measure and able to report back into that system.
Now, you did mention that for companies that have gone through this, the 10 that have, that some of the payback was immediate in looking at, where they could reduce food loss and waste. Some of it was as long as a year. Are companies surprised by that? When they see that number, do they sort of go whole hog into this, or is there still a bit of disbelief that it could be that huge?
There's still some disbelief. We've had to go back in a couple of cases and sort of demonstrate the calculations, verify how we got the numbers. And we do work with that leadership team to get that buy-in, that these numbers are real and these opportunities, and they buy into those calculations, and then from there they're able to take that business case up for, we need to change this.
Wonderful. All right. So as you said, there are still opportunities for this cost share, for this funding through the Wellmont Foundation. Where do people go for more information?
ProvisionCoalition.com. In our programs, there's a food loss and waste program homepage. All the information is there, and feel free to reach out to Cher Mereweather.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.